Hello, everybody. You can call me Mike. My name is Michael Overstreet. So, kind of give me a little bit of background about myself. I studied computer science. Well, let's back up a little further. So, I did VEX, Lego in school, and kind of got involved in robotics that way. Then I did FIRST. I was a team member for FIRST in high school. Then when I got out of high school, when I had time, I mentored FIRST teams. Not every year, but for a few years, on and off. And when I got into college, I studied computer science and with a minor in programming. So when I got out of school, became a computer programmer, and it was in 2005. So it's been a while, but in 2005, I went to my first robot competition in Bay Area called Robo Games, and I participated every year until 2018. I think it was the last year, unfortunately. Hopefully, when all this stuff settles and everything gets back to normal, we'll start having events we go to in person, and then robotics competitions and stuff will come back. But the cool thing that happened when I was at Robo Games in Bay Area, I started meeting lots of people from all over the world who are involved in robotics. So that's sort of how I got started in it, just sort of by accident. But I have done robotics for a while, and throughout the years since 2005, I've been able to help out companies with beta testing, development, research on robotics. It was sort of a side job, something I do actually for fun to help companies out, make a little extra money on the side. But since about 2 years ago, I've been becoming more and more involved in doing robotics work, and then last year, I started really getting involved in doing consulting and talking to companies about how they can start up their companies in robotics. There's lots of startup companies right now looking into robotics and using robotics. So that's kind of my background. And like I said, I kind of fell into it, but I do have a love for robotics and I enjoy it. So I definitely recommend that if you're interested in robotics, computer programming, that kind of stuff, I think it's going to be a huge job opportunity in the future. I know there's going to be a lot of companies looking to hire people who can program a robot, work on a robot, maintain a robot. So I definitely recommend that if you have the opportunity, Lego and VEX. And then when you get to high school, I would definitely say that if you enjoy or like programming and mechanical electric engineering, I would definitely recommend that you do FIRST, just to see if you kind of like it and kind of get involved, because FIRST teaches you a lot of really cool skills, programming. But the other cool thing that FIRST teaches you is a lot of soft skills, what people call them. It's good for you to learn how, because when you get out in the workforce, you'll be doing a lot of projects and you're going to collaborate with lots of people. So being able to, these Zoom calls are great because I do a lot of Zoom calls with people in the U.S. and overseas and talk about robotics, especially the last year. So So just to be able to communicate with other people, talk to other people, be able to explain yourself, be able to answer questions, be able to be in meetings is a great skill to learn. So like I said, that's kind of my background. Kind of help you out. I'm a visual person, so sometimes when I have a teacher just talking to me over and over again, I maybe not tune out, but I don't really understand exactly what's going on, but so let me share my screen, hopefully. Let me show you some videos of some cool stuff that's happened in the last year or so to kind of give you an idea of what kind of the opportunities and kind of the cool things going on in AI, machine learning, robotics. Let's see if I can share my screen here. Especially in the last 6 months to a year, one of the silver linings to the pandemic is that research and development in robotics, which is kind of going all different directions. There's no focus. Everybody was just doing a little side projects and developing their robots to do this and that. But one of the things that the pandemic has taught people is that automation and robotics could be very helpful in the workplace and at homes, hospitals, schools, whatever. So one of the things that hospitals have a huge trouble with is bacteria and viruses. This was an issue before the pandemic, but it's been heightened because of it. So this robot uses ultraviolet light to disinfect rooms. It only takes about 5-6 minutes in a room. It also has a dry mist. And the cool thing about this mist is it's chlorine. It's basically chlorine water. So you can actually get sprayed with this mist and it won't bother you. So this robot is autonomous. It uses LiDAR sensors and the robot ROS, the robot operating system, to autonomously move around from room to room. And what makes this robot so cool is that, like I said, the UVC light can damage our eyes and give us sunburns. So this robot can autonomously drive around and disinfect rooms. And so I think this is a great example of some of the cool things going on in robotics for the last 6 months a year. All kinds of companies are developing these robots, and they're going to need people like you to be able to program them, maintain them, build them, and develop with them and research them and test them. Because there's a lot of companies that really are looking into robotics, but they don't have. So every company has an IT department, or most big companies have an IT department, but they don't have a robotics department. So most of the people there don't know anything about robotics. So this is where your opportunity comes in, where if you do first and you do studying on the side and you work on programming, engineering, mechanical, electrical engineering, because a robot is just basically a slightly different modified computer. So if you understand computers and how to assemble computers and how to build computers and how to wire computers, you got a head start on a lot of people who don't know anything about that. And like I say, it's a great opportunity for jobs, especially if you're interested in this kind of thing. So another really cool application that people have been looking at, this actually started before the pandemic, is that doctors and nurses are pretty overloaded right now. There's just a shortage of qualified doctors and nurses. So there's been a lot of research. This is a robot that's being field tested in Texas. So this robot is both a telepresence robot and a autonomous robot. So this robot can help relieve some of the stress that hospitals are under. So the great thing about robots is they don't get the flu. They don't get COVID-19. And they can't transmit it. And it's really easy to clean them. So all you do is between patients, you just spray them with that chlorine disinfectant or zap them with UVC light for 5 minutes, and they'll be ready to go. They'll be clean and ready to go. And this helps with PPE use. And so like a lot of the nurses and doctors are constantly cleaning themselves and constantly changing PPE. So this is where everybody's going, wow. Before, one of the silver linings to the pandemic is that people realize that robots can be very helpful. They're not really going to take people's jobs. They're just really good assistants and helpers, especially in times of stress and times of emergency. This next video, I don't know if you know what CES is, Consumer Electronics Show. So this just happened in January. So there was all kinds of companies just starting up a robotics division. One of the examples is Samsung. So Samsung had been doing work in the background and kind of stealth work in the background in robotics. But Samsung is a big electronics company out of South Korea. They mainly do TVs and appliances, but they jumped big time into robotics. So even though this is a South Korean company, there's going to be lots of companies like this throughout the world getting into robotics. So like I said, I think there's going to be all kinds of really cool job opportunities out there for you in the future. So this is a telepresence robot that they demoed. So of course CES was online and virtual. But the great thing about telepresence robots is that it allows us to have kind of a super Zoom meeting. So instead of just talking to somebody and have a stationary camera, you can actually basically have a mobile Zoom meeting where you can just kind of drive around the robot from point A to B, drive around a room, an office, a building. If you want to, a great thing is if you want to visit your grandparents, but you're worried about, giving them a virus or a flu or whatever, you could do like a little telepresence session, and you could drive the robot around and follow them around and talk to them during the day. And the cool thing is as robots get more and more advanced, you might be they have arms that can actually manipulate and do tasks in a room. So Handy's a great example. So this is another really cool robot they developed. This is both a telepresence and autonomous robot. So in the future, when somebody needs help or assistance, instead of maybe going to a special hospital or assistance or senior citizen assistance home, maybe putting a robot into their home would be cheaper and easier, a better solution. And then with the arm, it can manipulate, pick things up, and help around the house for somebody. So yeah, I kind of assume that everybody knows what a telepresence robot is. Okay, what telepresence means is, if you saw that, let me go back to that one video, the beginning of that one video. The person, so this robot can be autonomous, but also telepresence. So when this screen pops up and you see a view of a person, that person is actually controlling the robot. That person is talking through the robot. So the robot has the LED screen, so you can see the person's face, and then it has both a mic and a speaker, so that person can talk to the person in the room. And that they can also control the robot remotely. There's actually, so when telepresence robots is a huge, big, broad term, but there's actually doctors that can perform surgeries through telepresence robots. They don't have to be in the room. They can remotely control the robot, and they have sensors, cameras, and a lot of them have like not VR goggles, but they have those gloves that transmits movements of your hands to the robot hands. So there's a lot of really cool stuff going on in telepresence. So telepresence is basically remote control of a robot. Is what it is. I hope that makes sense. But you're remotely controlling a robot. You don't have to be in the room, or it's basically over the internet. It's like a super Zoom meeting. So this is another great example. Toyota's getting really big, heavily involved in robotics. So there's lots of people that need help and assistance, but don't want to go into expensive retirement community or retirement home. So there's a lot of development lately in using robotics to automate stuff, to make people's life easier. Not only in, manufacturing and so on, but in people's homes. And then robotic arms are are pretty well advanced, and the vision sensors, you can use facial recognition, object recognition, machine learning. So this is an example of the robot picking up a cup and do some cleaning. So let's say you're, for whatever reason, you can't get out of your bed. Maybe you just had surgery or something. Wouldn't it be great to have a robot in the home that can go get you something to drink during the day? And nurses and doctors are really overtasked right now. There's a shortage of nurses and doctors and home care helpers. So robots could be really good. So he's showing how you use the VR to do telepresence. So this also helps with, let's say you're in the middle of a pandemic like we were last year. We all have to stay home. Wouldn't it be cool to be able to use a telepresence robot to go do a job or go help somebody? And like I said, you can use these telepresence robots. So if you've got a grandparent or a parent that you want to visit, but you can't for whatever reason, you can just log on, basically kind of like a super Zoom meeting, and hang out with them and help them. Another great question. These costs of these robots are coming down. The robots with the arms, like the Toyota robot and the Handy robot, are kind of expensive. We're talking usually between 100 to 200,000, but the price is coming down. Another great example is Spot, Boston Dynamics Spot. I would just see, have you seen videos of Spot? I can show you some. It's around 75,000. But like, I don't know if you can see her here, but I have a little smaller robot, service robot that's around 10,000. There's lots of cool stuff's happening. So another great question is, how do robots learn? So that's another great job opportunity out there. So with this Toyota robot, there's a couple different ways that robots learn. One of the big things happening right now is cloud robotics. AWS RoboMaker, Ross. So what's happening is you're using online internet connection to connect all the robots together, so they learn from each other. It basically called machine learning, and through vision sensors and other sensors, data coming into the robot can learn simple tasks. One of the things that, so that's kind of the new development, but for basic tasks, it is as simple as motion capture. So you move the robot arm around like this. The robot, by manipulating the robot can capture the movements and learn from your movements how it should move. And then through a process of machine learning and so on, the robot becomes smarter and more sophisticated and can recognize objects and so on through machine processing, image processing, and sensor information. So the robot learns both from us, mimicking us, and from just driving around, manipulating, doing stuff in its environment. I hope that makes sense. It's a really cool field if you're interested in machine learning. I can't tell you when. I think that the popularity of robots in homes and stuff, I think, is just going to become more and more as the price comes down. They are kind of expensive now, but like I said, it's like anything. As more and more robots get out there, and as more and more companies and more manufacturing going on, the more robots are sold, the cheaper they can be, and then the companies can leverage machine learning and cloud robotics to make the robots smarter. iRobot, the vacuum cleaning robot, is a great example. They use cloud learning to teach their robots, so when they go out into people's homes, they can periodically every few months update them and to take data information that the robot is learning in the environment to make them smarter. As far as storing information, most companies are going to cloud robotics, using big servers online to store all the information, all the data being collected. Can they be taught? They can be taught bad things, but you can put safety stuff in there. It's like anything. It is only as dangerous as the people programming and developing it. I mean, if somebody wants to develop a dangerous robot, it's like anything. It's like a car. If somebody's driving a car and wants to run into everybody, it's the same thing with robotics. If somebody designs a robot, puts a robot out there, and the robot starts hurting people, then yes, it's possible. But I would think that with laws and stuff in place, that it's not going to be as bad a situation as you would think. These are just some more examples of some robots out there. I mean, the big thing I can tell you about, if somebody designs a killer robot, they're not going to be in business very long. You can't make money making a killer robot. I can't see companies intentionally trying to put a dangerous robot out there, because that's just opening yourself up to lawsuits, and that's opening yourself up to going to jail, and that's opening up your company to go bankrupt. It's not in the best interest of a company to make a dangerous killer robot. That makes sense. Another question about dangerous robots. Yeah, but it's like anything. A car can be dangerous. A computer, somebody can hack into a computer and make the computer dangerous. So there's always going to be safeguards. There's always going to be issues, but it's not really in the best interest of anybody to have dangerous robots out there. Nobody wants that. If somebody wants to do that, then they're going to get in huge trouble. Nobody wants dangerous killer robots. Nobody wants dangerous killer cars. Nobody wants a Tesla car driving around constantly running into people. It's just not in the best interest of anybody to have that happen. So if it happens, it'll be in very isolated cases. I wouldn't really worry about that, because like I said again, it's in nobody's interest to have killer robots out there. So this is another great example of an application people are really interested in. Cleaning bathrooms. Nobody wants to clean a bathroom. So this is a great job. This is a great job for a robot, because a bathroom is a very stationary object. The toilets and the restroom and everything, the sinks don't move around. So it's really easy to program a robot to come in and clean a room or bathroom. It's a very repetitive task. Very easily make this autonomous task. Lots of people, when they see this video, want to know when they can have a bathroom cleaning robot in their home. I just think it's a matter of time. It may not be a mobile robot. It may be robot arms that come down from the ceiling and clean your bathroom for you every day. I think a lot of people would love to have this in their bathroom. Oh yeah. So yeah, robots are really good. So we are really good at creative tasks. We're really good at, humans are really good at doing stuff that's not pre-programmed, pre-scheduled. We can be spontaneous. We can just do things. We can think up things. We can create things. We can do things out of scene. So robots are really good at repeated tasks, scheduled tasks, a task that can be easily made autonomous. Now like I said, we're good at spontaneous things. That's why robots aren't going to replace us. We work really well together. We teach a robot how to do something that's really boring, that we would get really tired of doing. And robots will then go off and do that, and we just monitor them and check them and make sure that everything's going fine. Yeah, so you can a robot's like a computer. You can hack anything if you're really good at it. And there's all kinds of ways to hack computer systems, to hack networks and stuff. We're always going to have that issue, not just with robots, with your phone, your computer. You always just have to be cautious, though. I mean, you can even hack a Tesla car. So yes, we just have to monitor that and make sure that if it does happen, that we can stop it as soon as it happens. Most of your robots have kill switches on them, so that it's basically an override. It's usually a big yellow, orange, red button on the back of the robot. It just is basically a kill switch, kind of like your first robots have a kill switch on them. So it'd be really easy. Just hit the robot, turn it off, and stop it. So, yeah, emotions and happiness and all that kind of stuff, and anger and everything. So right now, that's not the holy grail, but there's a lot of work and development on making robots more like us. But they kind of mimic us more than anything. They really don't have emotions or feelings or anything. I mean, the best example is they're very much like Vulcans from Star Trek. They really don't have emotions, but they can mimic them to help us react with this. You can put LEDs on them, screens on them, so that they have a face, and the face moves and it smiles and whatever. But they're just reacting to us in a programmed way. So that's where you guys come in. You can make the robots more intelligent and better to interact with people by giving them mimics of emotions. So I've heard rumors that there's I don't know where it is, but there's a Walmart in the Kansas City area, Kansas City, Missouri, Kansas City, Kansas area, that has a sweeping, cleaning, floor cleaning robot in it. I don't know where it is. I just heard that from somebody that heard it from somebody. So I'm going to have to find it. But you'll probably see these vacuum cleaning robots out there at airports and businesses, especially like Walmarts and Targets and Sam Clubs. So this is a really repetitive task. This is a really easy task to make it autonomous, because you just map out the room using a LiDAR sensor, and then they use the LiDAR sensor to determine where the robot is in the map. And the robot can be programmed to go point A to B to C to D, and just do this over and over again, something that you probably would find really boring to do. And you can train this robot. So this person is training this robot. It can also do manual and auto, but you can train this robot by just driving it around, and the robot will then map out the area it needs to clean. So this is another great example of, you'll probably see these very soon in places like Walmart and Target. So another question about emotions. So when you're interacting, so I guess my example I can use for the emotions. So when you're interacting with somebody and they don't smile, they don't. So when you express a feeling of emotion to them and they don't respond to that, they don't understand that. Like you're crying and the person just stands there and doesn't do anything. And if you're really happy and the person has expressionless and the person is not expressing happiness or sympathy or whatever towards you, it's kind of a put off. It's hard to interact with somebody like that, or at least we're used to interacting with people that have emotions. So having a robot that can at least mimic or understand or respond to these emotions just makes it more easy for you to interact and be more easy and comfortable around it. So on the cleaning robots, on the Roombas, yeah, some of the technology is still being worked on, but see, that's where you guys come in. So whenever I'm around a robot, and that's kind of what I do, I watch a robot and how it interacts and how it does its job. I'm always thinking, well, how can I make that better? And if I can come up with a cool solution idea, I actually just put it down in writing and send an email out to the company and say, hey, I noticed your robot does this and this and that. I might even make a video. And then I say, hey, I think your robot should do this instead of what it's doing right now. And then I kind of get not maybe it's kind of a way to market myself and get some more opportunities in the field of robotics. But that's what I do anymore. When I see a robot out in the world, I'm always looking how it reacts and how it does things. And I always think, how can I make that better? How can I improve that? And, like I said, I sometimes actually just unsolicited, try to send comments and videos and stuff and try to set up Zoom meetings and say, hey, I know your robot does this. I think it should do this and maybe do that. So, that's where you guys come in. If you're really interested in this and get really involved in this and like this, I think there's all kinds of opportunities. You'll see robots out in restaurants and businesses trying to perform tasks. And if you're saying to yourself, hey, I can program that robot to do that, why don't you just go up to the manager or somebody running at that place of business and say, hey, I got this background. Let me help you. I'm sure there's a lot of companies that would need lots of help in the next few years getting the robots out to the world. So another question about, reprogramming. That's another great question. So that's where you guys come in. That's where I'm in. So if one of the great things about robots is that during times of a crisis or during times of a holiday is a great example. So everybody wants to do a holiday. So in China right now, everybody's going on holiday. So everybody's going on vacation and nobody's in the office. Nobody's working. So that's a great opportunity for robots. Robots don't need vacations. Robots, you don't have to lay a robot off. Robots don't have family they have to take care of or feed. So robots can be put in storerooms when they're not needed, or they can move from business to business. But then again, that's your opportunity. So, a robot that was programmed to be in a hospital, can also be in other businesses, but it just takes somebody to program and develop that robot for that business. So that's another great opportunity for people like you and me to jump in there and say, hey, I can write an app for that robot, so that it can help you in your restaurant, or I can write an app for that robot to help, in a hospital, or I can write an app to help, this robot be a receptionist in a business. So yeah, it's a great question.
Thank you, Michael. That was really cool. Fascinating. I definitely need some of those robots, especially the cleaning ones.
Yeah.
Very cool. I just need $200,000, right?
Well, the cost is starting to come down. I mean, Spot. Yeah. Have you seen videos of Spot? Spot's around 75,000, and that's only going to come down. There's a couple dog-like robots like Spot out of China that are around 10,000, 15,000. They're a little smaller, but they can do a lot of the work that the bigger Spot can do.
All right. Well, we need to get one for Woodhill. That'd be fun. Very cool. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Thank you. So go take a stretch. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Bye.